Broadcasting live from our studio in Boston, Solutions Review is proud to showcase Cohesity in the Solution Spotlight, a unique online event for industry professionals.
I'm Doug Atkinson here at Solutions Review, and welcome to the Solution Spotlight featuring Cohesity and focused on how to get your organization data resilient. Cyber attacks are not a matter of if, but of when, and the costs to recover are growing. At Solutions Review, we're seeing a set of zero trust principles emerge as an effective data protection strategy. A combination of immutability, data encryption framework, multi-factor authentication, and access control to stop bad actors from modifying or deleting your data. So today, we're bringing you this demonstration of Cohesity DataProtect that can secure your enterprise data across a broad set of sources, virtual and physical servers, traditional and containerized applications, databases, NAS, and SaaS workloads. And to walk us through today's presentation is Nikitha Omkar, Senior Manager Product Marketing, and Brock Landis, SaaS Business Engineer from Cohesity. Nikitha, Brock, thanks for being with us.
Thanks so much, Doug.
Yep, thank you.
Yes, and I'm glad you're here. As I mentioned, this is something that is top of mind, and it might be one of the most popular categories on Solutions Review right now. And I know Cohesity's been very busy over the first half of the year with funding and mergers and all kinds of interesting things. And so we can be happy to have you here. Before you get going, though, I'm going to set everybody's expectations because I do want to let you get after it. But I also want to let people submit questions. And if you have anything that you want to add, by all means, feel free to participate. We're going to take them in here. I'll hold them until after the presentation is done, and then we'll have a nice Q&A session at the end. But for now, I'm going to hand it over to you, Nikitha. Best of luck with the presentation, and I will catch up with you guys toward the end.
Thank you, Doug. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. My name is Nikitha Omkar. I'm part of the data market product and solutions marketing team here at Cohesity. I've been here over 5 years now. So as you can imagine, done a host of marketing initiatives for different Cohesity products, including Cohesity Fort Knox, as well as some of our partner solutions such as AWS and HPE. We're very excited today, Brock and I, to be presenting about how you can protect your AWS data sources with Cohesity, BaaS. And BaaS is nothing but an acronym for Backup as a Service. And we'll get into more details of what that means in Cohesity's world. We have an action-packed agenda, which will conclude with a demo. But we'll first set the stage for some of the challenges in today's data landscape, as well as the threat of ransomware, and how you can combat that with Cohesity and AWS, which is a perfect blend of two partners coming together to ensure best of both worlds for our joint customers. And in the end, we'll go through Q&A. Now, let's get right into it. The big elephant in the room, ransomware. There seems like today you can't have a conversation with any IT or security personnel without the word ransomware popping up. So let's get into the specifics of ransomware by the numbers. Why is this so important to everybody, from the shop floor to the boardroom? Everybody wants to know how they can protect their data from ransomware. So it seems like from what we hear in the news, and mind you, that's only stuff that comes into the public eye, that there seems to be a ransomware incident every 2 seconds, which targets a business, a consumer, or an individual, and how much is this costing annually? Close to $265 billion by 2031 is the estimate. And this is a conservative estimate because a lot of ransomware doesn't even get reported because of the impact to the business and the reputation of the company. A lot of these incidents don't even come to the public eye. So How many of these businesses who are targeted by ransomware are able to recover their data? A measly 11% can get back up and running within 3 days, which is shocking given how much of loss that the downtime causes. So in short, ransomware is only on the rise. It's not going anywhere. And we need to ramp up our protection against this prevalent security threat that's plaguing everybody. Now, since we're talking about AWS data sources today, let's talk specifically about your data that's shared or stored in AWS. Now, a lot of people assume that because you're using the cloud and you're using AWS, that the cloud provider, AWS in this case, is responsible for ensuring your data security. And this is unfortunately not true. And a lot of people are unaware of this. Now, I'd love to share an AWS Shared Responsibility model that some of you may be aware of, because this is what a lot of cloud providers, including AWS, share with their customers, when you sign up for their services. It's in the service agreement that you sign before you get started with AWS. In that, it clearly states that AWS is responsible for the security of the cloud, which means it's going to ensure the infrastructure is up and running, the service level agreement that they signed up for has been fulfilled, and you're able to get access to the cloud as per your agreement. However, the security of the data itself, your data which you have stored in the cloud, is completely your responsibility. So any security which is relevant to the data in the cloud, including all of the security measures that you need to take, like operating system, firewalls, encryption, immutability, all of this is your responsibility. So I can use an analogy which will help you understand this better. When you build a house, the responsibility of making sure that the house is built to the best of the quality is on the builder. He'll make sure that the foundation is good, the walls are good, the structure is good. But the ultimate responsibility of the house itself, once you move in, is yours. You have to make sure that you have the appropriate security system, a lock, access control, cameras, whatever, you name it. So all of that is on you, not the builder. So that's how I'd like to compare, security of your data in the cloud versus security of the cloud in an AWS shared responsibility model. So moving on, how can AWS and Cohesity help you? We have jointly produced a range of solutions actually, which help you defend and recover your data from cyber threats. And that could be ransomware, malware, insider threats even, which is unfortunately on the rise too. So Cohesity DataProtect as a service, which is our SaaS solution for backing up AWS sources, helps you protect, secure, and manage your data all from a single unified console, which is a great customer-tested UX and UI, which helps you manage all of your data, whether it's on-premises, in the cloud, or even in edge solutions. And that's one of the differences between having, say, a cloud-based native backup solution and Cohesity DataProtect as a service. We are able to consolidate and eliminate a lot of unnecessary point solutions for different backup sources, on-prem, cloud, etc., and consolidate all of them on a single data cloud platform provided by Cohesity, which helps you use a single UI to manage all of your data across various data sources, whether it's on-premises, cloud, or the edge. So how does this help you? This helps you reduce operational complexity and risk because you only have one point of management, which is Cohesity console. That also helps you manage your data effectively and optimize your time to look at how you can manage all of your data through a single platform. It also saves you money because you're shifting from a CapEx to an OpEx model with predictable monthly payments. And also, one of the biggest reasons that customers love Cohesity DataProtect as a service is because it's available on the AWS marketplace. And how is this, useful for them? A lot of you may already have an enterprise discount program or EDP with AWS, where you have committed to spend a fixed amount of dollars on AWS Cloud. And what is the great news for you is that because Cohesity DataProtect can be procured on the AWS marketplace, it also helps you burn down this annual commitment with AWS, which helps you utilize funds that you already have without having to create new additional budget for our Cohesity DataProtect solution. And I was just talking about our data protection solution so far, but if you are on the Cohesity solution, you have range and access to a whole range of data protection services, including data protection of NAS sources, data insights from all of the data that's consolidated on the platform, security services such as Fort Knox, which helps you create an air-gapped copy of your data to recover in case of a ransomware attack. And even our newest AI-powered conversational assistant called Cohesity Gaia, which helps you gather insights from all of your secondary data through simple natural language kind of queries, which don't require you to actually learn a new language or skill. So all of this is available through our single Helios platform, which Brock will demo to you a little bit later. So moving on, let's talk about specific AWS workloads. As of today, we are capable of backing up 3 different AWS workloads: Amazon EC2, RDS, and S3. We constantly keep adding more workloads, but for today, these are the 3 workloads which we feel our customers, broadly use and most benefit from backing up through Cohesity Data Platform. So how this works? Let's get to it. You are capable of, backing up your EC2, RDS, or S3 instances, either on premises or through the cloud, through a custom or managed instance of Cohesity Helios, through the same platform or UI that you can also manage to have a direct, no hardware, backup as a service only solution, which is backing up directly from the cloud. And Cohesity manages that for you in case you want to eliminate all of the complexity of managing the solution yourself, even though it's not really complicated. All of this is available through a single UI, a simplified hybrid cloud management tool called Cohesity Helios. And you are able to view all of your data sources, be it AWS or on-premises data like VMs, bare metal, hypervisors, etc. And the great thing about this solution is that you're able to configure it with the retention policies that work for your organization, and also recover it with the SLAs that's appropriate for your business. You can back it up to any location, cloud to on-prem, cloud to cloud, manage your snapshots however you want, or you can also have Cohesity manage all of it for you. You're able to save a lot of time because you're able to consolidate all of your data on a single UI and lower cost with, global dedupe and compression, which is a big differentiator as compared to using a native cloud backup solution, which a lot of questions we get usually on. Mainly because If you're using the native AWS snapshots, that's not getting deduped or compressed. So, and in the long run, those cloud costs add up, and you'll be shocked with a huge cloud bill in a few months. So, using a dedicated backup solution like Cohesity Backup as a Service or DataProtect as a Service helps you lower costs and also helps you move to a predictable subscription or OPEX model, which doesn't give you any sticker shock at any point. So, moving on, let's talk about how DataProtect delivered as a service protects against ransomware. Here you see some of your AWS data in the cloud being backed up into the Helios platform with DataProtect as a service. And all it needs is a Cohesity SaaS connector, which connects to your cloud and automatically can be configured to back up your data as and when you want. You can choose the vaulting or the backup window. You can choose how often you need to be, renewing that backup. You can choose when you want to recover that data also, and how far back in time you want to go in case you are hit with a security incident. So all of this data is encrypted both in flight and at rest. And the backup is efficient because it's compressed and deduped and ensures that only the incremental changes are backed up with every consecutive backup. So all of this makes your data isolated. It always helps to have a different cloud instance where your backup data is stored as compared to the primary data, because God forbid, if you are hit with a security incident or ransomware attack, you cannot recover the same data back because you're not sure if it's clean or not. So having an isolated copy of that data in another cloud instance, preferably managed by Cohesity, is a great way to ensure that that data breach does not affect the backup copy in a secure alternative environment. There's also a lot of security features built into the solution, like multi-factor authentication, encryption, immutability provided by data lock, as well as access control and quorum to ensure, to prevent unilateral changes by rogue admins. So all of these security features together make sure that your data is safe from bad actors, whether it's internal or external. And a question that we get a lot is how is Cohesity DataProtect as a service different or better than, say, having your AWS native backup? The main thing here, the difference is the isolation and the immutability. Having Cohesity DataProtect as a service ensures that physical or the key management system, which managed by Cohesity, add an additional layer of security to prevent bad actors from accessing data. And also it has a host of other security features that I mentioned, but also recoveries. You're able to do better recoveries with lower RTO, and then save money because you're deduping and compressing the data that's being backed up. And overall, managing all of your different data sources on a single UI makes life a lot easier. So that's how a dedicated backup solution is better than, say, native AWS snapshots. So moving on, let's get into some actual customers who benefited from Cohesity. One of the biggest names that we've had in the financial services industry is NASDAQ. So NASDAQ did a lot of research. They did a POC with a range of different backup solutions. And what they were looking for is a comprehensive SaaS solution to manage their 6,000 M365 accounts and a few remaining Exchange accounts. Now, excuse me. The hybrid working model had created a lot of issues for them in managing all of their, widespread data. And what they needed was something which was secure and yet flexible to have hybrid workloads. And that's why they selected Cohesity as compared to other solutions out there. And the results they got were astonishing. And some of them were, taking 5 minutes to restore an email down from 4 days, having a single UI to manage all of their data, and automatically being able to check off any kind of data privacy regulations and country-specific compliance mandates. All of this, they were able to implement in less than 1 month, and they felt that the compared to the previous backup solution that they had, which was taking forever and just not able to scale, they found the perfect trifecta, which is the security, SaaS model, and support that Cohesity provides. Another example is Beckmann and Coulter, which saved a lot of money as well as time because of switching to Cohesity Backup as a Service. Now, all of these case studies that I'm talking about are public, so you can access them on our website whenever you want. And Beckmann was actually using a variety of point solutions, including ArcServe, Dell EMC, Veeam, and Veritas. They were unable to manage all of this, all of these different point solutions, and had many instances where they missed SLAs, recovery SLAs. So they decided to modernize the entire backup infrastructure and consolidate or eliminate all of these point solutions with Cohesity, and they were able to get their VMs restored in less than 24 hours, which could take some days before. They had a stronger security posture because of the isolation and security benefits of DataProtect as a service. They moved to an automated backup schedule and single UI to monitor all of their hybrid workloads. And also, they automated cloud archiving as well as enjoyed uninterrupted backups during upgrades, which was not possible in their previous legacy solution. I will hand it over to Brock now to demo DataProtect as a service and see for yourself all of the stuff that I've been talking about.
Yeah, thank you, Nikitha. My name is Brock Landis, and I'm a Cohesity Cloud Services engineer. And today I'm going to be, providing a demo, and we're going to go through kind of the basics of the Cohesity Cloud Services interface, and then we're going to get into what it looks like to, protect and recover EC2, S3, and RDS, all using Cohesity. So with that being said, let me just jump over here into the demo. And so I guess where I'll start is that the Cohesity Data Cloud is our single pane of glass management interface. And so really what that means is no matter what Cohesity deployment model you use, whether that's the traditional Cohesity on-prem or Cohesity Cloud Edition, and for that matter, Cohesity Cloud Services, all Cohesity products and services link together into the Cohesity Data Cloud, offering a single pane of glass where you can report, manage, and take care of your backup and recovery needs all from one single interface. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the Cohesity DataProtect as a Service dashboard. And to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select Protection down here on the bottom left-hand side. And then you'll see I have DataProtect and DataProtect as a Service. So let's go ahead and click on DataProtect as a Service. And so what this is going to do is just drop us into the specialized dashboard that is DataProtect as a Service for backing up, the AWS workloads that we're covering today. All right, so the first thing that sort of sticks out here on the dashboard is, of course, you can see a global map. And then on that global map, I can see green dots kind of covering, most of the planet here, where I've got both AWS and Azure regions spun up. And so the key thing here with Cohesity Cloud Services is that it's a very good time to value. So there's very little involved in getting this configured and getting your backups running, whether that's backing up cloud to cloud or backing up on-prem data sources into the Cohesity Cloud. So let's look at the first step. All right, so if I click on the settings button on the left-hand side, and then I select regions. This is going to drop us into the regions page. And so what the regions page is essentially where you're going to tell the service what storage regions you want to be able to back up data to. And so a couple of key points here is that these regions are managed and maintained by Cohesity. So all of this is maintained within the Cohesity tenant. So for example, if I click up here on the top right and say add region, you'll notice the service will allow me to select the AWS region that I want to deploy. And then I can select my encryption model, whether I want to leverage the Cohesity built-in KMS, meaning we'll automatically encrypt the data and rotate the keys, or if you want to bring your own self-managed KMS keys, you definitely have that option as well. Once you make these two selections and click Save, we're going to automatically spin up an S3 bucket in the region that you've selected inside of the Cohesity tenant. And so really there's nothing for you to manage here. We're going to make sure that that tenant is secure. You don't have to configure anything in your own AWS account. And really the key here is that we're protecting data in your production AWS account, and we're actually pulling that into the Cohesity cloud. So we're going to ingest that data. That way we can air gap the data. We can dedupe and compress that data and offer some cost savings over the traditional native tools, which are not deduped or compressed. And then we can do things like, anomaly detection, where we're going to be looking, backup to monitor those backups for changes like, the number of files, the data dedupe rate, data entropy rate, maybe a large number of files were added or deleted. And so we're able to bring all of that value in as we ingest that data. And then you have a clean copy of data located inside of the Cohesity tenant that can be recovered either to the original or an alternate AWS account if necessary without egress costs. So, those egress costs are seen inside of the Cohesity tenant, and we don't pass those along to customers. So one other thing to mention here, I did mention that we are using S3 on the backend, which means that for any one copy of data that we protect in your AWS account, we'll ingest that, and we're going to replicate that data to a minimum of 3 availability zones within the region that you select. So you will get that traditional 11 nines of durability and 4 nines of availability here inside of Cohesity Cloud Services. And as you can see, you can really spin up these regions kind of globally and back up the data that you need to back up in the location you need to back the data up into. Okay, so that takes care of setting up the backend. As you can see, it's just a couple of clicks. You tell us where you want to spin up those buckets. And then once you've done that, we're ready to move over to start registering sources. And so in this case, we're looking to register an AWS source. So you can see that I've got 3 AWS accounts that are registered. The registration process is very, very simple. It's just a matter of deploying a CFT, creating an IAM role for Cohesity in the account, and then deploying what we call a SaaS connector. The SaaS connector kind of operates as our eyes and ears into the AWS account and acts as the data mover. So essentially what will happen is, for example, we'll take a snapshot of an EC2 instance. That snapshot will be sent to the Cohesity platform via the SaaS connector. And then that snapshot will be cleared from the AWS side if you want to, or you have the option to keep it around for a certain amount of time. But really, the SaaS connector operates as the data mover. You can manage those SaaS connectors here on the SaaS connector page. So if you ever wonder, where you have SaaS connectors deployed or what kind of throughput numbers you're getting on the SaaS connectors, you can always see that in one spot here inside of Cohesity. And those SaaS connectors are relatively, lightweight. They're M5 X large EC2 instances. And then you would simply just deploy those into the account, and that would allow for ingest from that AWS account into the Cohesity cloud service. And of course, we can scale those SaaS connectors up and down to make sure that we're getting the best performance. And then once the initial full ingest is completed, we can scale those back down since we are an incremental forever platform. And then that way we can make sure we're saving as much as possible on costs. All right, so once your AWS account is registered and you have a SaaS connector deployed, we're going to go ahead and discover the EC2 RDS and S3 assets that exist inside of that AWS account. And this is actually really cool because what it does is it gives you kind of a one-stop shop where you can see all of these, no matter what VPC or region they're in inside the account, but we can see all of these assets. We can protect all these assets, right here on this same screen inside of Cohesity. All right, so getting into kind of selecting and protecting these workloads, you can see I can sort by protected. So you can see I've got a few EC2 instances that I'm backing up. And then on the top right-hand corner, you notice that I can look at this as a list view. I can see this as a hierarchy view if I wanted to actually see, where these EC2 instances are located. Or if I wanted to, I can view this, I can view the tags that exist. So in order to select and protect, of course, you can go through and you can manually select an EC2 instance. You could click the protect button, and then you could apply a backup policy to that EC2 instance. Alternatively, you can auto protect at, say, for example, the region level, the VPC level, and you can also auto protect off of AWS tags. And so a lot of customers use the auto protect on tags. And the cool thing there is that this service will reach out to your AWS account every couple of hours. And as you have new EC2 instances or S3 buckets, for example, come into the account and the backup tag is added, then those assets could automatically be moved into protection by Cohesity, leveraging auto protect. So it really makes that very easy to go ahead and automate the protection around these workloads. Okay, so that being said, let's take a look at what it looks like to protect an EC2 instance. So you can see here, I've found an EC2 instance I want to protect. I'm going to select the protect button. And then here under policy, you'll notice I get two options. On the left-hand side, I have an AWS snapshot policy. And on the right-hand side, I have a Cohesity snapshot policy. And so what that means is we do have the ability to manage snapshots inside of the AWS account. So if you wanted to, say, for example, keep one or two snapshots around inside of the AWS account, you can absolutely do so, and you can apply a policy to make sure that that's the case. And then on the right-hand side, this is the actual Cohesity ingest policy. So what this means is we're actually going to take that snapshot, we're going to pull it into the Cohesity platform. We will perform anomaly detection on that. We will dedupe that and compress that, and then also index that so that you can search and perform recoveries. Now, one thing I should point out here is that oftentimes a lot of our customers are able to realize cost savings because we do dedupe and compress these backups once they enter the platform. So most customers opt to leave maybe 1 to 2 AWS snapshots in the account, and then ingest the rest of them into the Cohesity platform that can help save cost and then also improve your security standpoint, because since that data is being air-gapped out of your AWS account, even if there was a compromise inside the AWS account or ransomware or something like that, that you have a good clean copy in the Cohesity tenant that's completely separated from any production. And you can recover that not only to your original AWS account, but you can recover it to any AWS account. All right, so let's click on more options. I can make the selections around my policies. And then essentially all you have to do is tell us how often you want us to back the data up and how long the data should be retained. And then one other item that I would like to mention here is that this is also where the data lock functionality would be set. And so we do have data lock, for Cohesity on-prem, but data lock exists here within this platform as well. And what data lock does is it completes, or it keeps any administrator from deleting snapshots or deleting any data prior to the retention date that is set. So if you tell the backup policy to keep the data for 30 days and you turn data lock on, there is no way to delete that data prior to 30 days. We store the backup immutably, and then data lock adds an additional layer of protection, basically keeping anybody from being able to delete data out of the platform. Once you have gone through and made your selections around the policy, all you have to do is select the protect button, and the backup will begin, and then it will run at the interval that you have selected. So it's very, very easy to select and protect data inside of Cohesity Cloud Services for all of these AWS workloads. Okay, so that's what it looks like to protect. So you can see that's quite easy. We can automate that based off of tag, and we can leverage auto protect. Let's take a look at what it looks like to perform recoveries. So now what I've done is I've just selected the protected option here, so I can see all of my EC2 instances that I am protecting. And the cool thing here is that Cohesity is going to allow for a couple of different recovery models. So you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, I've got a backwards clock. That would be a full recovery of this EC2 instance. And so if I select that button, I can say, okay, we're going to recover the entire EC2 instance. And then you'll notice I have the ability to select either the original or a new location. So with original, of course, that's going to recover the EC2 instance right back to where it came from. With new location selected, I can actually select the source account that it needs to go to. I can select the region, the key pair, the subnet, the security group, and all of these settings. So ultimately, I can recover that data back to any AWS source account that is registered with the service. And then keep in mind that recovery is done without ERES cost. So even if you were to recover into an alternate region, those ERES costs would be seen inside of the Cohesity tenant. We would not pass those along to our customers. So it definitely offers, some flexible recovery. You can recover, multiple EC2 instances at a time. You can also do this via the REST API. If you wanted to script this out and recover, hundreds of EC2 instances simultaneously, we can definitely scale the platform to be able to accomplish that. But we do have a few other recovery models. So you can also recover files. So since we're ingesting this data and indexing the data, we can just simply select recover files. And then now I can actually browse the file system of these EC2 instances, and I can select the exact files and folders that I want to recover, and I can choose where I want to recover them. So I can download them, I can click next, and I can either select to recover those to the original server or a new server. So we do add in the ability to be able to do file level recovery for EC2, which is a great option that's not currently available with native tools. All right, so that being said, I just wanted to briefly cover, what it looks like to recover both RDS and S3. And what you'll notice with Cohesity is that once you kind of understand that recovery model for EC2, you're going to understand the recovery model for both of these workloads as well, as they operate almost identically. So you'll see here, I've got an RDS database protected. You'll see the recovery button. And again, I'm able to do original or new location. And then once I've selected that new location, you'll notice I have those same options. I can determine what source account, what region, subnet, etc. And then just jumping over very quickly to S3, you'll notice here that I've got an S3 bucket protected. And on the right-hand side, again, I do have that recovery button. I can recover the entire S3 bucket if I need to. I can recover individual files and folders from the S3 bucket. And then I can choose where that data should be recovered. So I get to choose the account, the region, and I can recover it to the original bucket or an alternate bucket. And just like EC2, we can absolutely perform this at scale. So I can recover a large number of S3 buckets and RDS databases simultaneously from the platform, either using the GUI, or I can leverage the REST API and perform that all programmatically. So it makes it very, very easy and simple to do. So that's sort of what protection looks like, creating a policy. And then also I kind of briefly went through what it looks like to perform recoveries. So with that being said, I did want to kind of point out a couple of other things, within the platform here. And one of those is the activity page. And so if you click the activity page, this is really where you can come. It's a one-stop shop to understand everything that's going on with the backup system at any given time. So here I can sort based off region. I can sort based off of source. And then any backups that are running, that have succeeded, that have failed, or I've gotten warnings on, you'll see those all down here below. So at any given time, I can always see, what the platform is doing, what backups are running. And then I can also recover, directly from this page. So all I'd have to do is search for, an EC2 instance name or an S3 bucket name. I could easily find that on the list. And then I could just recover directly from here. So you can see I can choose recover files, and so on. So the activity page really is kind of the go-to spot to understand, what backups are running. You can get your logs from here. You can also see what has been successful and what you might need to check on as far as warnings or failures. All right, so that's the activity page. And then one other thing I wanted to show that I think is really important, because I think what we see a lot of people struggle with is understanding within the AWS console, what is being backed up, what is not being backed up, and trying to just manage all of those backups. Typically, that interface can be a little bit, hard to understand. Sometimes those backups are just listed as, snapshot names that may not be recognizable. And so what we've done here with our reporting is we've tried to simplify this. And so once you've added multiple AWS accounts and you're backing up, different resources and different accounts, we have some tools in here that can really help report on what is being backed up, maybe what you need to check into as far as failures, service consumption, and also just understanding your protection runs as well. So let's just take a look at one of these reports. So if I jump into my protected versus unprotected objects report, you'll see that's going to make this quite simple. So all I have to do is jump in here. If I wanted to report on an AWS account, all I would have to do is select the account ID. I can select multiple account IDs if I want to. I can click apply. And then here, all of a sudden, it's going to make this very, very clear. So now, just at the top level, I can see that I have so far protected 10% of the objects within this AWS account. I can see the objects that I am protecting and not protecting. If I scroll down, it's going to give me a specific list of those objects. So you can see the RDS databases and EC2 instances and S3 buckets, that I am protecting and that I'm not protecting. And then what I can do is I can just scroll up here to the top. I can click the schedule button. And then what I can do is just have this automatically create a report and send this out to teams that need to see this data. I can determine the format, the time frame, and I can filter this out even further. But what this is going to do is automatically send out a report. Those teams can review this report, maybe daily, maybe weekly. And then you can get kind of a top level view of exactly what is being protected inside of that AWS account and what might not be protected, so that you can address those issues and really look at this, from one single pane of glass, rather than having to jump through different interfaces inside of the AWS console. So I think this really makes it easy to help manage those AWS backups. And so I just briefly wanted to touch on reporting. In addition to reporting, of course, we have full audit logging built into the platform. So any action taken inside the platform will be captured in the audit log. The super admin gets to decide how long those logs exist. You can absolutely export those logs into other platforms for security teams. And then under the health tab, that is where you would configure all of your notifications and things like that. So if you want to be notified, if you get a failed backup or a warning or something like that, then you can absolutely configure notifications within the health tab, and those are very, very easy to configure. So with that being said, that is just a quick overview of DataProtect as a service here in the Cohesity Cloud Services platform. And so what I'll do now is just hand it back over to Nikitha. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brock. That was a really great demo. I hope our audiences got a sneak preview into how they can protect all of their AWS workloads with Cohesity DataProtect as a service. Now, let's conclude. How can you get started with Cohesity DataProtect as a service? All you have to do is sign up for a free trial. The link is in this presentation, but it's also easily accessible on our Cohesity website. And if you want to know more about our solutions with AWS, check out our website, cohesity.com/AWS, and you will know a lot more about the whole range of solutions that we offer with AWS. Cohesity DataProtect as a service is just one of them. Overall, I'd like to say that if you can complete the survey at the end of this presentation, we would love that. We would, love to hear your feedback, and also you might get lucky and win a cool giveaway. Now, lastly, I'd like to conclude by saying thank you for all of the attendees who spared their time to listen to us. And I'd like to just remind them, securing your data against the threat landscape today is not easy. It requires a team sport, and you need to have tested, time-proven partners such as Cohesity and AWS who can help you reduce your data risk, optimize costs, and get insights from your data. Thank you so much. I'm handing it over back to Doug.
Well, thank you both for that presentation. That was excellent. And I had a couple of questions, and there's a few more besides, but I appreciated the reporting at the end, particularly because I think with this sort of responsibility, there certainly comes some housekeeping that needs to be done, and also there's certainly some human interaction as well. And anytime there's human limitations, I guess, with regard to that interaction, I'm thinking about kind of the broader strategy here. So can you talk a little bit, maybe Nikitha, maybe you can talk a little bit about this idea of a zero trust approach and how Cohesity thinks about immutability and kind of the broader security posture?
You may have heard this term being thrown around a lot, zero trust, with a lot of our competitors even saying they are the founders of zero trust, which is just ridiculous. This is something that a lot of customers have, decided that they want to make sure that all of their data is secure and has many layers of security. Because let's face it, as your defenses get better, so do the bad actors. Anything that you do that you think is going to protect your data, there's always a way that they get around. So the best approach that companies are taking is to ensure that they apply a zero trust policy where there is no person or entity, whether it's internal or external, who can access the data without going through all of the security measures, as well as multi-factor authentication, access control, the KMS or the key management system, the encryption, and so on. Now, Cohesity has a zero trust policy as well. We comply with the NIST guidelines set by the cybersecurity agencies. And to know more about the technical details of how we comply with the NIST protocols, please visit our website. There's a multi-layered approach that we take for the access layer, for the application layer, and even for the peripheral security. So that's how I'd like to summarize that. Brock, is there anything that you would like to add to that?
Yeah, just going back to the reporting and I think a lot of people struggle as you have more and more accounts, inside of AWS, and a lot of the enterprise customers I work with have a large number of AWS accounts, and so it can become rather cumbersome to try to log into each account to understand exactly what you're protecting and what you're not protecting, and so I think Cohesity really is able to simplify that by once you've registered those accounts with the service, we can select all those at the same exact time. We can perform reporting on those so that with just a few clicks, you're able to understand what you are and are not, backing up. So I think that's super helpful. And then Nikitha, I would agree with everything that you mentioned as well.
Brock, I want you to field this one. So we're getting a question, and I know you covered this, but I want you to cover it again.
Yeah.
And that's the ability to ingest EC2 backups as well as manage snapshots. Can you just talk a little bit more about that? Because I think there's a question about that for one, and then secondarily, I'm going to pop because I think right after that you talked about some cost savings that can be had by the ingesting process. Can you talk a little bit more about that, please?
Sure. Yeah. So the way that Cohesity Cloud Services works is, at the policy level, you are able to select both an AWS snapshot and a Cohesity snapshot. So a lot of our customers want to keep, maybe one or two snapshots around in the account. Since they're sitting in the account, you can recover from those, super quickly. But the problem is they're not really protected from any sort of, bad actor. You're not protected from, ransomware and things like that, since it is sitting right there in the production account. So it might make sense to keep a snapshot or two there. But whenever Cohesity ingests this data, we do dedupe and compress it, as well as perform anomaly detection. And so we're really able to get that more traditional, backup level compression of, 3 to 5x, where if you're just taking the native snapshots inside of your AWS account, those are incremental, but AWS does not dedupe or compress them. And so what might happen is over time, you end up with a large amount of EBS snapshots and therefore a large amount of cost. So we can actually change that approach a little bit. We can help out with the security side by air gapping the data into the Cohesity platform. You've got a completely, separate interface there. You have a lot more control to where you could have specific administrators logging into that and other administrators logging into to AWS. So there's a lot of access control positives as well. But then to kind of round things off, we are providing the ability to have some cost savings there with that dedupe and compress, where, maybe it takes up a few terabytes inside of your AWS account. But once it comes into Cohesity, we can really see, typically around 3 to 5x reduction in that. And we're able to save costs and also provide a better security standpoint for the customer.
And I'd also like to add, the ERES cost, which Cohesity DataProtect as a service does not pass on to the customer. So as opposed to, say, having AWS native backup where they get charged, where you get charged every time that you recover data back, that doesn't apply in Cohesity DataProtect as a service because we kind of cover for those egress costs.
Yeah, not a small point, actually. Egress costs have become quite a talking point that we hear over and over as well. So yeah, I don't want to skip over that too much. So say, what we find with these events is this is like a great gateway into considering a solution. What should people be thinking about in order to prepare for a conversation? Should they just simply dive into the free trial and start kind of mucking about, or should they be thinking about things in advance and then maybe walk through a free trial after they've already had a conversation with Cohesity?
Actually, that's a great question, Doug. And the answer, it depends on the kind of person, because a lot of people, they don't want to talk to a human being at all in today's world. So maybe it's just going to a free trial is the best approach for those guys, where they can, just get their hands dirty, start working on it. And sometimes they also feel like if it's simple enough for me to understand and use without being taught how to, that's like a great kind of a test of the solution itself. But there are always some, folks, some prospects that we speak to who have like very limited time. They're kind of comparing different solutions, and they have like a short duration where they need to make a decision. And those are the guys who I would recommend, reach out to a Cohesity salesperson or just use the contact us tab on our website, and somebody will reach out to you. And then we can deliver a more customized presentation or have a more detailed, bespoke conversation about your particular needs. So that's how I would, frame that.
Yeah, Brock, I'm curious about your thoughts on what people should be thinking about with regard to taking their security posture to the next level. I mean, when people are reaching out, when you're engaging with people, I mean, where do you find them in this process? I mean, everybody obviously has something, and so for them to consider something new or adding on another layer, I mean, where do you see people kind of needing this sort of next level protection? I mean, what kind of environment exists where they really should be considering taking the next step?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, we talk to a lot of customers that are, in all different phases of maybe their cloud journey, if you will. So some customers have historically been on-prem and they've done sort of a lift and shift, to the cloud. They've moved a bunch of workloads up there, very, very quickly. And then we've got other customers that have been in the cloud for years and are relatively, developed there. They understand it. But I think for both, honestly, there's a big focus on getting your production backups out of the account where that production data is. And so we've had a lot of conversations with customers who have, they did a lift and shift, they got everything up there, and then they got it running and it's working. But maybe we didn't think of all the security stuff sort of along the way. So I think that's a great point to kind of take a look at Cohesity Cloud Services. The ability and the speed at which you can deploy this is pretty amazing. And most of the time within an hour call or an hour setup call with customers, we can go from your first login to Cohesity Cloud Services to having your AWS accounts registered and having SaaS connectors deployed and having backups running. And so whether you've been in the cloud for years or you're just starting that journey to the cloud, I think Cohesity Cloud Services can provide a lot of value, and not just for AWS, but definitely for AWS, since we're talking about that today. So.
Yeah, no, and we would encourage everybody as well to reach out to Cohesity, but at a minimum, go to the Cohesity website. There's all kinds of interesting resources. You can certainly sign up for a free trial. There's an AI agent called Gaia on there that will help you sort out your cloud journey. And I know. Nikitha, cloud services are something that you care deeply about, and this is part of a much broader cloud service. Yes.
Yes, that is correct. We have a whole host of cloud services, Cohesity Cloud Services, or CCS as we like to call them. These are basically different services for security, for backup, for disaster recovery, for file services, as well as threat detection, data vaulting, data classification, all of these services which are cloud-based, where you don't really need any specific hardware to deploy. So I highly recommend everybody to go and check out our website to learn more about these cloud services.
Well, thanks again very much for the time today. It's really quite an amazing time to be in enterprise technology, but I'm sure it's also an amazing time to be at Cohesity. So well done. Thanks very much, and best of luck for the rest of the year.
Thank you
so much.
Appreciate it.
Well, there you have it. Another solution in our spotlight. We want to thank Nikitha and Brock and Cohesity for that presentation, and we appreciate your participation as well. Until next time, I'm Doug Atkinson here at Solutions Review. Thanks for watching.